He did not just say that. He did not just ask me for money. Oh, D. Gonna ruin everything. America, I know we all got somebody in our family just like this, too. And if you don't think so, then it's you.
2 years ago, Bernie Mac was a part of the original Kings of Comedy tour, the most successful stand-up comedy tour in history. Documented by Spike Lee in a film of the same name, Mac lamented his lack of a television show to call his own.
The comments made by Bernie Mac belong to him and him himself.
Now, you told me to say what I wanted to say. White folks, I don't mean that. I'm just playing. I could do, if you give me a chance, I'll take WB, I'll take UPN, I'll take USA. Give me a chance to show you.
You take the food channel.
You show with
Have
TNT.
the Bernie Mac cooking show.
I ain't never seen.
Explain yourself, sir.
Oh, wow.
Welcome. You got your own show.
Yeah, I got it,
Did this do it or not?
You know what? I was just playing. I didn't expect that. I really didn't.
You just kidding us, weren't you?
I really was. That's
joking
funny.
with us.
That's funny. Mom, I'm sorry.
I didn't, Mother, I didn't mean it. I swear to you, I didn't mean it.
Charlie, I was just kidding.
Did you threaten those boys at Fox?
No, you know what,
Did
Charlie,
you?
Charlie, honest to God, I was just playing. You know, when they asked me that was Spike and them, I just went off the cuff and everything.
Spike said, give me something to make my little film. And you said, I'll give you something.
And I absolutely did. And now that the show came right behind it, everybody always throw that. But I didn't see that part. You know, I forgot I did that part.
Yeah, so how did this show come into existence? Because you said to me,
right,
as we sat down, that it's probably best on Fox.
It is. Charlie, I had this show for 44 years. This show was really like a part of my life. Like a lot of my material and stuff, it comes from my past. It comes up from my upbringing. It comes from my surrounding, my pain, the loss of my parents and family and stuff like that. And I bring that to the stage. And I try to find humor in the most mid-opportune times. And when I did the show, when I came and I pitched it 3 years ago, they said it was too blue, too raw, too raunchy. And I said, okay. And I really wasn't keen on doing TV, Charlie, because
television. What you said.
Well, you know, but with television, I've seen what it done to too many comedians in the past. I've seen what it did to Don Rickles, and Don Rickles was one of my favorites.
Makes a caricature of them.
It sure does. They handcuff you, they water you down, and all the audience that they built that audience. Richard Pryor, I seen what television did to him. I didn't want to go through that. And by Fox was the best place for me, and television isn't a good place right now. It's gone somewhere else now. I didn't want to be of the normacy. I didn't want to have the laugh track. I wanted to shoot like a little 30-minute film. I wanted to tell a story. I wanted to make you cry. I want to make you think. I want to make you laugh. And I wanted to show another side of Bernie Mac that a lot of people really don't know. A lot of people know that side of Bernie Mac, but they don't know the other side. And I had to reintroduce myself to America. And that was the challenge for me of doing television. And Fox is the right place because now I have a happy medium. Had I went to HBO, I'd have been too strong, too over the top. And things like that wouldn't have came off. It would have been too much of a shock value. Yeah. Had I went to any other network, they would have handcuffed me. Yeah. I would have had to battle with them every day to get my point of view across. And I didn't feel like battling about my culture.
Now, why is Fox perfect, though? I mean, I understand why the reservations about HBO on the one hand or the other networks on the other. Is Fox simply because they have less to lose, therefore they're willing to go more? Or what?
Well, I think they're willing to go more.
Yeah.
I mean, Fox has always, in the last 10 years, been willing to go out on the edge, sort of.
It's searching for an audience.
Yes.
Right.
You know, and I think it's been timing. Timing has been great for me to say what I want to say.
What do we see on the show, in your judgment? You telling a story, a 30-minute film about Bernie and his family.
It tells about the essence of the man, Bernie, for one. It tells about his point of view in terms of parenting. He don't know what he's doing. I mean, he doesn't have a manual on parenting, but he does have a firm idea of how parenting should go. He does have a firm perspective that kids should be kids. He feels, and today the kids are too doggone grown, that we give them too much. And then we crank and moan about the repercussions of the monsters that we create. And by doing this, it gives me a chance to tell America, come on now. You know, come on now. We did this.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what I'm going to do. Pray for me. No, you don't need to pray for you. You know, you did this. Let's stop it right now. These kids today, they have no respect. I mean, I did my dirt, and I threw my rocks. But you know what? When I saw Miss Johnson come, Charlie, I broke down. You know, hi, Miss Johnson. How you doing? When I was on the bus and I saw a lady standing up, I got up. That stuff is still in me. I don't see that today. And I'm not saying let's go back, but let's not forget the fundamentals.
Roll tape. This is you explaining the rules of the house to the kids.
Now, y'all children, y'all come on. Let's have some ice cream. Come on. Bernie Mac, why you so strict? Tough love is good for him. I don't play. Never did play. This small, never smiled or nothing. Hate school, because they had recess. Teacher told me to go outside for recess. I didn't go, because I don't play.
Now, what do we see there?
You saw an individual who was laying down the law.
Right.
Now, his methods might have been a little bit abstract today, but that was his way of being brought up. He still think it's right. My grandfather used to raise us, and he used to come in the house. I'm telling you, Charlie, I used to be so not afraid, but I knew at 5 o'clock, Granddaddy was coming home. Yeah. Stuff had to be tight, and we had to do our chores.
Be ready.
We had to be ready. And when he walked in, I heard that voice. It was just something, you know, our homework was ready. Everything was tidy. And that was, I mean, I thought that was some hardcore stuff. But I look at myself today, and I look at some of the things that got me through. That stuff saved my life. That tough approach saved my life.
There was also this point to camera there. Now, what's that about on the show? You talking to camera.
I did not want to bring America, I didn't want to come into America's living room. I wanted to bring America into mine.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to lose my voice. That was a great way. And I told Larry Wilmore, the executive producer, he and I spent a lot of time putting the show together. And we got together with all the writers. That was my main concern. I did not want to lose my voice. And Larry came up, he said, Bernie, how about if we have you talking to America? And I mean, you have a little spot that you go to that's your sanctuary, and you go there and you have this conversation to America all the time about your concerns. I mean, you get a chance to talk and really express yourself. I like the idea, but I wasn't too keen on me talking one-on-one with America because I've seen it done before, Charlie. And I didn't want to mimic anybody. I wanted to come up with something a little bit more authentic. But then, you know, he said, Bernie, George Burns did it. Dobie Gillis did it. Jack Benny did it. I said, damn. He sure did.
Yeah.
I said, let's try it.
If it's good enough for George and Jack.
I said, let's try it. And that way, that's my favorite part now. To sit in a chair like this and, America, you know I don't know what I'm doing. Help me out, America. You saw the kid. You know the kid's diabolical. What am I supposed to do? I love that part because I get to be honest. Yeah. You know, it's sincere. It's the truth. And we all say and feel those things, but Bernie Mac says it. He comes right to the front. He puts it, and he admits to the audience that he's wrong. And then he stands firm when he feels he's right.
You think it works for what reason?
I think it works because I think America has been waiting for someone to start to roll the ball first. You know, we
talk about these issues in the way you talk about.
You're doggone right. We've always been waiting on. We want somebody to start it off. We feel him. But once somebody started about, you know, he's right. Now everybody want to join in. We all been afraid to tell the truth.
Did you talk about family in your stand-up a lot?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I always have.
I mean, it's at the center of the comedy.
Yeah, I always have. I always talked about family and being brought up. And my family used to really get upset about it. Especially my aunts. They used to really get upset about it.
Bernie, do you have to do this?
They sure did. You telling our business.
Yeah.
My first monologue that I did at 8 years old, I got a spanking. Because I thought I was telling my family, I thought I was doing voices.
Right.
I used to do mimic people. And I thought I was mimicking my grandmother and my grandfather. I said, this is my impression of my grandmother and my grandfather at the dinner table. woman, you better hurry up and give me something to eat before I bust you across your doggone head. You ain't gonna do a doggone thing to me. And my grandmother came and snatched me off with the church function. And she came and snatched me off. She took me in the back, Charlie, it's a true story, and she spanked me and brought me back, and she said, finish it. And all the people were looking at me. And I was so into the joke, and I saw the people's faces. They wanted to smile. They were sad for me, but it was funny. And they was sitting up there trying to cover, and I did it again. That's how dedicated I was to the joke. But it started then. My auntie always said, you're always telling our family business. I'm not telling family business. You know what? My success has come from, Charlie, me being able to talk about the truth that has evolved around my life and not being afraid. See, Richard Pryor taught me that. People love for you to go up there and express about your pain. You're one of them. Oh, he's one of us. You know? Oh, man, he does drugs. Good for him. You know, good for him. He's not perfect.
Well, exactly what it says. What it says is that I think it is that, look, with all that money and all that power,
You're absolutely right.
he's vulnerable.
You're absolutely right.
He has problems. He's not perfect.
Yep. And they love it.
Yeah.
And it takes courage to sit there and tell the truth about yourself. A lot of us, my grandmother taught me that. You know,
The same grandmother's flapped upside the
Oh, sure. My grandmother say, I used to tell her, I said, you know, Daryl did this, my brother did that, and my sister did this. She said, oh, yeah? Now, what was you doing? And you done told on everybody but yourself. Now, tell me what you was doing. Now, I ain't do nothing. She said, that's what they all say. Now, tell me what you was doing. And she taught me that. You got to be able to tell the truth about yourself. That's the only way you get better, Charlie.
Tell the truth.
You tell the truth. But a lot of people are afraid of the truth. And this show gives me an opportunity to go there and express a part of my life to America and not be ashamed. I'm not ashamed about it.
Since you've mentioned his name a couple of times, finish this sentence for me. Richard Pryor is the best
Comedian, stand-up in the world. He brought stand-up to another level. He brought stand-up to a level that no one thought would ever be reached. He brought stand-up to a level where years after he hit that plateau, his legacy has still been standing to this day. Richard Pryor, despite all the triumphs in his life, still found a place where humor can be placed. Richard Pryor, despite his awkward lifestyle, still taught us how to laugh at ourselves.
You won a Peabody Award, or the show did, or you, I'm not sure which it was. What did that mean? What did that say?
You know what, Charlie? I mean, I'm not an award cat.
Yeah.
You know, I don't really get into awards and stuff like that. I mean, the Peabody is one of the highest awards that anyone can get, and I'm truly and extremely honored.
Right.
I really am. But I don't want to put all my life into any awards, because what I do, Charlie, is being done for different reasons. If I needed an award to validate myself for who I am and what I do, I think I'm gonna be in a world of trouble. If I never get another award, I mean, the Peabody is great, and once we got it, I mean, everybody around me was so elated and jumping up and down, and I think it's beautiful. Let them jump up and down. My elation comes from somewhere else. My elation comes from when I'm sitting up there in the writers and I see people's faces and they come and tell me how they enjoy the show and that they have some resemblance to the characters that's in the show. That's my reward.
Creating truth and striking a connection.
That's my reward.
How do you have time for this? Take a look at this from Ocean's 11.
Excuse me?
You heard what I said. A black man can't earn a decent wage in this state.
That is
Or crack a
absolutely
cowboy like you gonna try to throw me out on the street.
No, I'm trying to do my job,
Yeah,
sir.
do your job. What you want from me, man? Want me to get on the table and dance? You like me to shine your shoes? Want me to smile at you? But you definitely won't let me deal the cars. You might as well call it White Jack. And go.
You have time for movies?
Yes, it's a sacrifice, though. But I don't want to put myself out from my regular life. The television show has really been demanding. I think I got away with it the first year because that was the first season, and I shot that before the season began.
Yeah.
I don't think that I would really stretch myself out too thin. I don't want to do that because I think that's a a form of greed to me. You can't do everything. If I dedicate myself to one thing, I need to focus on that. If I dedicate myself to something else, I need to focus on that. To try to do all these and do the road and do stand-up and do the television show and then try to deal with my marriage and my home, something's going to give.
I was going to say that. Something's going to give.
Something's going to give. I don't want to do that.
And what's the most precious to you beyond family?
My comedy.
Comedy. Not the sitcom, not the stand-up, just comedy.
My comedy.
Being able to create truth.
Right. And joy.
And enjoy.
Yeah.
And entertain.
Yes, sir.
New York Daily News said Bernie Mac comes closest to the dangerous wit of comedians like Pryor and Eddie Murphy. His takes on troubled family life have a vicious bluntness that make you gasp. Pretty true, you think?
Charlie, you know, I do what I do and I let the ball bounce where it may.
Yeah.
And I feel the same way about that as I do awards. I think they're great.
Yeah.
But if I don't hear the voices, I think once I start hearing the voices, I have a problem. I just want to have fun.
You have a problem if you began to hear the praise.
Yeah.
And people saying, Bernie, you're great.
You know, I've seen that in the past. I've seen too many individuals greater than I, get caught up into that. I don't want to do this on the strength of notoriety or things like that. I'm a clown. I've been called a clown all my life.
And you're happy with that?
I'm happy with it.
A clown.
Man, I love it. But I'm secure with the fact that when I get through and I bring joy to people and I make people laugh at something, Charlie, that comes from me and it comes from my mindset or something that I want to put into perspective or sit there and say something that everybody afraid to say, but bring humor from it also. It's such a joy for me. I don't want to get caught up into all that other superficial stuff. The book and everything, when I did the book. I was going to
mention the book next.
When I did the book, I was sitting up there talking, and the guy said, man, we're just sitting up here, we're just talking, in the basement, and we was having a good time. And he said, Bert, you ought to do a book.
Yeah.
I said, fine. I said, but I don't know what type of book I want to do. But if I do a book, I don't want to take myself away from myself. And what I mean by that, Charlie, I didn't want to just do any some cookbook or become a preacher and try to throw down the rules and regulation in people's lives and hearts. I wanted to still be myself. When people read the book, they hear me. They say, I sound like him.
Bernie Mac, How Life Is, I Ain't Scared of You is the title. You choose the title?
Yeah.
So when you dream about this wonderful life, difficult, inspiring, growing, where does it go? Where do you want it to go? If you are a clown, if comedy is what you are about most of all,
I think I would like it to go to a place that is very well needed. I think I would love for my comedy to go and touch places that people, when they tap in their life, they can say to themselves, "Wow, yeah, I feel that. I understand that. That's something I've been thinking about." And that's how my comedy began. When I used to listen to certain great comics and listen to their LPs and in the basement, and I used to go steal my mother party albums and stuff, and I used to listen. I used to just listen. I used to play it over again, and I used to say, what made him different from that comedian? What made that comedian different from that comedian? And it was the strength, the inner strength, the style, the confidence that they had, not being afraid to fail. And if I can transcend that to a lot of people, whatever dream, it might not be comedy, it might be in the workplace, to give them that drive, that's when I Ain't Scared of You came from. You can't be afraid. You can't be afraid to fail. And we all need something from somebody, and it comes from in the most inopportune time, Charlie. And it did for me. When I heard Richard Pryor, when I heard Bill Cosby for the first time, that really motivated me to become a comedian. When I saw my mother sitting in the chair crying, and I came in and I asked my mother why was she crying. And she said, nothing, son. And I wiped her face off, and I began to cry. And Ed Sullivan introduced Bill Cosby. And Bill Cosby came out, and he did a routine about snakes in the bathroom. And my mother began, Charlie, to laugh and cry at the same time. Then I started laughing, you know. And because I saw the joy on my mother's face. And when Bill Cosby got through, I said, Mom, that's what I'm going to be. I'm going to be a comedian. I'm going to make people laugh so you ain't never got to cry again. He tapped in on me. Mm-hmm. If my comedy can go other places like that and tap in other people's lives, I'm doing my job.
You're doing it. Bernie Mac on How Life Is. I Ain't Scared of You. Bernie Mac on Fox, Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Next season, the show moves to 8 p.m. on Wednesdays. You're up against me next year.
Charlie, I told him not to do that, Charlie. I don't want you to lose your job.
I wish they'd listen to him. You're terrific. Thank you for coming.
You, Charlie.
Pleasure to have you here.
No, thank you, Charlie.
Bernie Mac. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
The stylish 30-inch Bertazzoni Master Series range has a dazzling array of tools to cook with. 4 variable strength gas BTU burners, a large capacity gas oven with a gas broiler. These are powerful tools. However, if you've not used a range like this before, I think you'll find it helpful to take a little tour to learn about the various components you'll be cooking with. That way, you'll achieve success every time you cook, and you'll enjoy cooking on this wonderful range as much as I do. With this range, one of the great safety features of the range is that you can't just turn the knobs and have the gas flow. This range has thermocouple ignition. This is a safety system that's used widely in Europe to prevent gas from flowing accidentally. So to light the range, you press the burner in, turn it, and count to 3 and let go. The thermocouple valve that allows the gas to flow works on a heat sensor, and as soon as it's warm enough, it stays open on its own. So lighting the range is very easy. Now, with the cooktop, you have one power burner. Everybody needs a power burner. This is 18,000 BTUs of power though. So what are you going to use it for? Well, boiling water, sauteing, or searing. Now the great thing with this burner is that you're going to light both burners, the inner ring and the outer ring. So you have 2 rings of fire underneath the pan, bringing powerful heat. When you're ready to simmer, you can simply turn off the outer ring, or you can lower both rings until you get the level of heat that's appropriate for what you're cooking. 18,000 BTUs is power, so use it judiciously. On the rear, here at the right, you have 11,000 BTUs. We use this for more moderate cooking, but don't be fooled. It's still extremely powerful. 6,000 BTUs is a great burner to use for things like eggs and vegetables, but again, it's more powerful than you might realize. 3,000 BTUs is of course fantastic for simmering those sauces, and you can add in the little diffuser ring that comes with the range. That gives you the ability to simmer for a long period of time or hold foods for a long period of time without risk of evaporating liquids. So 4 great burner options, but the most important thing, whichever burner you use, heat your pans over moderate heat. The more you heat the pan, the more explosive your cooking will be. That means possible burning of food, more cleanup, more smoke in the kitchen. So heat your pans over moderate heat. Get to know how each pan reacts to each burner so you really get in sync with the stove. The large capacity oven can be used in the regular bake mode or in convection. Gas has a natural convection. It's heated air that's moving. And foods cooked in gas are just extraordinary. But when you use convection, the fan at the back of the oven circulates the heat around the food. It cooks food from the edge to the core. So foods cooked in convection can cook quite quickly, but to avoid overcooking on the edges and undercooked in the center, it's really important to moderate your temperatures. For example, when baking, we'll always reduce recipe temperatures by 25 degrees. And we'll make sure that the racks are placed in a way so that the food is not too close to the bottom of the oven where there's more powerful heat. Convection is a great choice when you're cooking a complete meal. For example, roasting this chicken with some vegetables underneath. Now you'll notice I have the chicken elevated on a rack in a shallow pan. This is the roasting pan that comes with the oven. Elevating the meat does two things. It allows the convection to flow evenly around the food, but because the backbone of the chicken is not sitting on the pan, the heat of the pan isn't leaching all the moisture out of the chicken and splattering it all over the oven. So, choose the convection mode or the non-convection mode and you'll get great results either way. But when you bake in convection, recipe temperatures must be reduced by 25 degrees. And when roasting, we find that 350 is a great temperature. We prefer in convection to get the cooking done at a moderate temperature, and if you need a little finish for sizzle, then for the last 10-15 minutes, you can crank it up to 400 degrees. But cooking this way will give you really good results. You'll have beautiful, luscious food without anything being burned or dried out. Now you can use a variety of different trays in the oven. Half sheet pans work well, or a combination of jelly roll and quarter sheet pans. The oven has great capacity. It's just important to plan the rack positions before you start cooking. So we've talked about the thermocouple ignition system for the gas cooktop, and we have exactly the same system in the gas oven. So to light the oven, you can first of all turn the control knob to convection if you want to do some multiple rack cooking or you want the benefits of convection cooking. Or you can just turn the light on and use the gas in regular bake. Press in the thermostat control knob, turn it to the temperature that you want to cook at, and you'll hear the sparking, click, click, click. Release the knob and it will light. It might click for a couple of seconds, but just let it go. Now, in order to make sure that the oven's actually lit, there's a couple of tricks I use. One is I just look at the glass. If I see the humidity is rising on the glass, then I know that the oven has started to heat up. Or you can just open the door and have a quick peek, and you'll see in the bottom left-hand corner the little blue flame. When you turn the oven on, you're always going to hear some fan noise. Now this is not the convection fan, it's the oven cooling fan. In order for the range to be installed zero clearance to your cabinetry and not cause damage to your cabinetry, it needs to have a cooling system. It might take you by surprise the first time you use the range, but honestly after you start cooking you hardly even notice it. But remember, it's preserving the life of your range and your beautiful cabinetry, and that's the most important part. It's part of having a quality product, such as Bertazzoni. Broiling with a gas broiler gives you incredible results. You get really beautiful charring and crisping, but you don't want burning. So even though you might be tempted to put the rack position very close to the burner, it's best if you drop it down one position so it's a little removed. That way you'll get the beautiful browning and caramelization you want, but you won't completely burn the food. You can sear your meats quickly on either side, and then to finish cooking them through, just turn the oven off or turn it back to regular bake so that it can finish cooking the food. Just like you do on the barbecue. You start high, get the meat seared on both sides, and then you move it out of the way of the really high heat so the food can cook. it's advisable not to broil with the door open. So remember, set the rack in the right position, watch it very carefully. It doesn't take long to broil foods in a powerful oven like the Bertazzoni. So as you can see, we actually didn't make too much mess on our range despite all that searing and boiling water and saute and roasting. But nonetheless, we are going to clean the range, and I want to show you the products we use and the techniques we use. I always start with warm soapy water. I find dish soap just cuts the grease really well. Just don't use too much soap at one time, otherwise you'll be rinsing and rinsing. In terms of cleaning cloths, we're big fans of these terry bar towels. They have a little nap in them that really helps you with the kind of scrubbing, getting things off. So start with some warm soapy water and terry bar towel, and you can get the cooktop nice and clean. Now when you cook with stainless steel cooktops, and even if you're really good about heating your pans over moderate heat, at some point you are going to have some caramelization build up around the base of the burner. So to eliminate that, what we do is we use Barkeeper's Friend. It's available in a powder or a paste. You simply wet your terry bar towel, pour a little of that on there, and then you rub it around the caramelization or any built-up staining that you have on the cooktop. So you let it sit for a little bit and then rinse it with nice cold water. If in the process of taking the burners apart and scrubbing around underneath the burner, the igniter gets wet, then it's best to use a lint-free towel so that you can just kind of rub the burner dry, but no lint will stick to it. And of course, these are great towels for finally polishing and drying the range off. So keep your cleaning products to a minimum. You probably don't need stainless steel cleaner. You just need a little warm soapy water and the right type of towels, and it's very easy to wash the range. Remember, the burner caps must be seated correctly for the cooktop to ignite. So make sure you put everything back in the right position. I use the same cleaning products in the oven. With the oven, you're going to notice that the place that gets the greatest buildup of grease is actually the glass door. And my favorite product for cleaning that is my SOS pad. Now, it doesn't scratch the glass, just get it wet and rub lightly, but what it does do is it removes any grease that settles there. Again, I use the lint-free towel and the terry cloth bar towel as a kind of a scrubber too. The reason I'm able to keep my oven clean is because I did elevate my meats as they were roasting, so it cut down on splatter. I paid attention to where my racks were in relationship to the bottom heat or the broiler. So those are the things that will help you keep your oven keep it reasonably clean, but also moderate cooking temperatures. Now, from time to time, you're going to want to remove the oven racks and give those a bit of a clean up. And again, the SOS pad does a great job to remove any caramelization or staining. Cooking on the Bertazzoni is a joy. Cleaning it is honestly not that difficult. No overheating your pans, watch where you place things in the oven, and you won't have that much cleanup to do anyway.